Welcome to Letters to Leaders. I'm Park Wiker, leadership coach and small business consultant. Through my work with leaders at every level, I spot the same recurring challenges, and I write letters addressing them directly and practically. In each episode, I read one of those letters aloud. Let's get to today's. Dear Leader, I need more money, you said to me as our mock negotiation got started. I could sense the resolve in your tone as you stiffly sat in the chair across from me. Your argument was clear and backed by fact. An AGM of this size company should be salaried at about 10 to 12% more than you are making, and your sources seemed legit. Why would I do that? I asked. Because I'm good at my job and I like working here. You were implying that you would find employment elsewhere. Listen, I pressed. The company's numbers are mediocre at best. Our volume is good, but our margins are weak. As I slashed at your request, I shut you down because there is one thing missing from your pitch, much like a salesman I once worked with. I had decided to buy a car. I had taken on a full-time, on-the-road sales position, and one thing I wanted was to have a vehicle that I wouldn't hate after a full week of driving all over creation. I pulled up each manufacturer's website, selected the models that most closely fit my criteria, and proceeded to visit dealerships for every one of them. Some of them were more attractive than others, and I had some biases, but I was determined to test drive a car from each manufacturer as I made up my mind. At one particular dealership, I test drove what I felt was an average American sedan. It was number 4 of 6 on my list. As I arrived on the lot, I was greeted by a cheery older gentleman. I'd like to test drive this, pointing to the sedan in the front row. A few minutes later, we were pulling out onto the main road. I could feel the steering wheel pull in my hand, wanting desperately to straighten itself out as we pulled out, my body sliding over in the wide seat, and I listened carefully to the road noise, trying to gauge how the quality of my cell calls might be as the salesperson prattled on about all the features. I pulled back into the lot where I shook his hand and graciously thanked him. What's it going to take to get you in this car today? He pressed. I can work with my manager. I can get this going for you. He was pitching a price, but he had no idea what I was actually looking for because he never once asked what my real goals were. You are in that place with your president, never really touching on what he values. It's a rare case that a boss is simply going to give you more just because you asked. And more generally, going into a negotiation with only one side of the argument creates the conditions for combat. That certainly will not help your current negotiation, but more so, it will taint future negotiations. Ask yourself, why would the president grant another $12,000 of the net to you? If you haven't asked, you don't know. And even when you do ask, it's likely that the first answer or two will be a diversion. Ask any reporter how difficult it can be to discover the truth from someone. I challenge you to discover what he needs, what he wants, what he struggles with. Bring at least 2 of them next week to our meeting where we can brainstorm on them. The goal will be to figure out a way to fulfill one of his needs and get you what you want at the same time. I call it mutual benefit. Even if you're not 100% on target, the effort you put in to discover how you can help him while helping yourself will show a thoughtfulness that few will exhibit. This in and of itself will make you a competent negotiator, and this habit, applied consistently, will produce results at a rate that surpasses most. Getting more of what you want and demonstrating that you are a person to work with rather than against. How does that conversation start off with this new knowledge? I first wanted to meet with you to discuss a raise. However, I noticed how our net keeps narrowing into the single digits, indicating that our expenses are growing faster than our revenue. I looked into the details and discovered several areas where I believe we could improve that. How would you feel about granting me that raise if I can deliver on a 2-point improvement in the net? Suddenly, You've become a partner to work with. Park Wiker. P.S. He who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. John Stuart Mill.